Area 51. Just hearing the name sends shivers down your spine, doesn't it? A place dubbed off-limits, one of the most heavily guarded locations on Earth. Millions of Google search results lead to one burning question. Is this where the US government hides? Chilling secrets about extraterrestrials and unidentified flying objects? For decades, tales of UFOs and strange beings have made Area 51 a symbol of conspiracy theories. But is that truly the whole story? Or have we unknowingly overlooked a much larger, more complex mystery? Today, we're going to peel back those layers, looking deeper into Area 51 to uncover things you might never have considered. Let's begin this journey. Please like and subscribe to my channel. Please comment what you want to suggest to me. That will be the motivation for me to make videos every day. Thank you very much. Now let's get back to the topic. Area 51 and the secrets the US government doesn't want you to know. We're in Nevada, USA. This road, seemingly just a path for high-speed adventure, could actually lead you to a place you should never tread. Area 51. For years, it was just a whispered name, a location that didn't exist on official maps. The Pentagon always evaded, denying everything. But then, in 2013, a shocking event occurred. Under the Freedom of Information Act, the Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, released documents confirming Area 51 exists. It was a top-secret US military facility established during the Cold War. Think back to that moment. December 8, 2013. The world was stunned when the 44th US President, Barack Obama, publicly spoke about Area 51. At an annual ceremony at the Kennedy Center, Obama humorously admitted, "When I became president, one of the first questions people asked me was, 'What's really going on in Area 51?'" From that point, the first layer of mystery was peeled back. Area 51 was no longer a name the Pentagon wanted to keep hidden. This was a major turning point, opening the door for deeper discussions and discoveries. Let's rewind to the early 1950s, when the Cold War entered its most intense phase. Reconnaissance became a top priority for national security. But there was a big problem. American spy planes at the time were outdated, flying too slow or too low, making them easy targets. President Dwight D. Eisenhower approved a secret program, the development of the high-altitude U-2 spy plane. The U-2 was a technological marvel for its era, 19.2 meters long, with a 31.4 meters wingspan, 4.88 meters high, and an empty weight of 6,760 kilograms. It could reach a maximum speed of 805 kilometers per hour and fly at an astonishing 25,900 meters, a record at the time. Crucially, it could fly for 12 continuous hours without refueling. But a top-secret project like this couldn't afford to leak even a shred of information. So in 1955, CIA officer Richard Beasel and Lockheed Martin designer Kelly Johnson collaborated to find a remote location, out of public sight, and even from the Soviets. On April 12, 1955, they discovered a strip of land that had been used by the U.S. Army Air Forces, predecessor to the Air Force, to build two small runways during World War II, but it had been abandoned since the 1940s. This site was then incorporated into the nearby U.S. Atomic Energy Commission's test site in Nevada and designated on maps as Area 51. And just like that, it became the chosen location. In July 1955, Area 51 began operations for U-2 plane testing. This was the beginning of one of the world's most mysterious bases. For decades, Area 51 remained hidden from the public. All satellite images of the base were scrubbed from government data. To enter, one had to undergo rigorous security checks and possess an invitation from the military or intelligence agencies. The base spans 36,200 acres, including hangars, radar stations, living quarters, offices, and runways, all designed for rapid aircraft movement and evasion of satellite detection. Even today, Area 51 is surrounded by thousands of acres of empty desert, and the Air Force has seized civilian land to keep prying eyes away. One of the rare ways to observe the base is to climb Tikaboo Peak, 42 kilometers away, from where one might faintly spot the runways and experimental aircraft taking off or landing. Most personnel travel to the site by Boeing 737 or 727 from McCarran International Airport. There are no fences around Area 51, only orange poles and warning signs prohibiting entry and photography. All personnel working at the base, whether civilian or military, must sign non-disclosure agreements. So why is Area 51 so strongly associated with UFOs? This is an interesting point. The U-2 plane often flew at altitudes over 18 kilometers, a record at that time. When a U-2 took off at dusk, its silver wings would reflect the sunlight, causing pilots of other, lower-flying aircraft to mistake it for a UFO. Such a simple explanation, however, couldn't satisfy the long-standing public suspicion. People still craved a precise and satisfactory answer about UFOs and aliens at Area 51. In 2015, NASA Administrator Charles Bolden confirmed the existence of extraterrestrial life, but denied any aliens being hidden at Area 51. He noted that due to the aviation research activities at Area 51, many people assumed aliens were present. It probably all started with Kenneth Arnold. On June 24, 1947, he claimed to have seen 9 unidentified flying objects in a V formation in the sky. Arnold described them as moving like a saucer skipping over water, giving birth to the term flying saucer. By July of the same year, an unidentified object crashed on a ranch near Roswell, New Mexico. Although local Air Force officials claimed it was a weather balloon, many believed it was the remnants of an alien flying saucer. Then, in 1989, Robert Lazar shocked the world by claiming to have participated in a military program researching alien technology at a site not far from Area 51. Lazar insisted the U.S. government possessed at least 6 alien spacecraft at a base called S4, near Groom Lake. He even claimed to have discovered element 115, which powered the spacecraft. Lazar's statements drew public attention to UFOs and Area 51. However, investigators doubted many details Lazar provided, such as his claim of attending MIT without proof. Lazar countered that the government tried to erase his records to discredit him. It's truly difficult to say whether Lazar was a credible witness. All legends related to Area 51 revolve around characters with big heads and pale gray skin. Many stories mention an organization attempting to establish a new world order, with UFOs and other tailies serving as a distraction from their true agenda. Most notably, there's information about a secret organization called MJ-12, Majestic 12. We can't forget the shocking event 69 years ago. An unidentified flying object crashed in the southwestern U.S. desert near Roswell, New Mexico. After confirming and issuing a statement about the incident, the U.S. military unexpectedly denied and suppressed all related information. Immediately after the Roswell incident, President Harry S. Truman himself signed an executive order establishing a secret agency to handle UFO matters, including erasing traces of UFOs on Earth and fabricating false evidence at sites with alleged alien presence. In other words, this agency's mission was to ensure ordinary people lacked sufficient evidence to believe in flying saucers and aliens. This agency was codenamed Majestic 12, established in 1947. The peak of the CIA's public distraction campaign was a series of evidence suggesting that Majestic 12 was merely a product of overzealous UFO and alien enthusiasts. But it wasn't just talk. Many individuals who knew of Majestic 12's true existence if they betrayed their oath of secrecy, faced meticulously orchestrated accidental deaths. Let's go back to when the 8-page Majestic 12 document was anonymously sent to a UFO researcher in 1984. This was when the name Dulce Base gained prominence. American UFO hunter Paul Benowitz claimed the government spent about $17 billion to build this underground base for a plan to collaborate with aliens to dominate humanity. Upon investigation, an underground structure was found beneath Arcoleta Mesa, on the border between New Mexico and Colorado. It became known as Dulce Base, labeled a top-secret military facility. Could these two highly guarded locations on the planet be hiding projects like the recovery of alien spacecraft made of materials never found on Earth, rescuing aliens and collaborating with them to build interstellar vehicles? As for Area 51, it could very well be a base specializing in the research and testing of top-secret U.S. weapons, where unimaginable experiments like weather control devices, mind control technology, and most famously, activities serving Majestic 12 were conducted. With extremely tight security and the ability to erase all traces and media scrutiny, deeper secrets surrounding these bases might not be revealed tomorrow. Although the U.S. government has stated that Majestic 12 ceased operations long ago, is this statement merely confirmation that Majestic 12 remains deep in secrecy, continuing projects that ordinary people could scarcely imagine? To get a more concrete understanding of Area 51, we should follow its timeline more closely. The airspace around Area 51 is used for aircraft testing and pilot training. Therefore, the public might occasionally spot fighter jets in the sky. Sometimes these aircraft are difficult to identify with the naked eye, leading many to believe they are not from Earth. UFO reports often coincide with the daily flight schedules to and from the secret military base at Area 51. Unmanned aircraft, particularly strange at the time because they lacked cockpits and doors, further fueled people's imaginations. Additionally, many training flights used high-intensity lights to divert attention from missile launches and distract the public when secret aircraft arrived at and departed from the base. The U-2, believed to be one of Area 51's first residents, could reach altitudes of 21 kilometers and successfully complete reconnaissance missions at the time. However, the CIA and Lockheed Martin realized they needed more advanced aircraft as Soviet missile technology rapidly improved. In 1960, the Soviets shot down a U-2, turning this concern into a reality. U.S. engineers then designed an aircraft called Sun-Tan, capable of reaching 3,200 kilometers per hour, intended as the U-2's successor, but the U.S. government later canceled this project due to immense costs. Area 51 was evacuated in June 1957 for a series of nuclear tests. By September 1959, the CIA returned to use the site for developing the A-12, the precursor to the SR-71 Blackbird reconnaissance jet. The A-12 was a reconnaissance aircraft shaped like a flying saucer and made of titanium. A Los Angeles Times article in 2009 speculated that the A-12 shape and speed led many commercial airline pilots to believe it was an alien flying saucer. Subsequently, Area 51 continued to be the testing ground for Lockheed Martin's SR-71 Blackbird, which could reach altitudes of 27,400 meters. In 1996, when the CIA revealed the SR-71 Blackbird development program at a secret location, the agency only mentioned a desert near Nevada without specifying Area 51. Besides domestically produced aircraft, the U.S. government also secretly analyzed Soviet aircraft they acquired at Area 51. In 1967, the first MiG-21 landed at Groom Lake. The testing and research program, conducted by pilots, led them to call the restricted airspace above Groom Lake Red Square. However, the secrecy and testing activities also brought unintended consequences. In 1980, The U.S. government initiated a program to relocate contaminated soil around Groom Lake. Several towns near Area 51 reported unusually high rates of cancer, and many of them sued the government, asserting that government tests in the area had affected their health. Also in the 1980s, Area 51 employees dug large open pits and dumped hazardous waste into them. They used jet fuel to burn these substances, inhaling significant amounts of chemicals and toxic fumes. According to lawsuits, some government officials of former Area 51 employees requested safety equipment, like respirators, but were denied due to budget issues. When these workers proposed bringing their own personal equipment, managers stated that for security reasons, they couldn't bring in outside equipment except gloves. Several employees fell ill after prolonged exposure to toxic gases, and some even died. The 42nd U.S. President, Bill Clinton, signed an executive order in September 1995 to clean up Area 51 based on investigations by the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA. The order designated Area 51 as an Air Force operating location near Groom, Nevada. The EPA was still permitted to investigate Area 51 to ensure it met environmental standards. However, most reports were censored and could not be released to the public. President Clinton's special order allowed these Area 51 reports to remain classified. Are there new projects underway at Area 51 recently? Some suggest the U.S. military continues to focus on drone technology in the area. Other projects like the Aurora reconnaissance aircraft and hypersonic jets also remain under suspicion. Today, Area 51 is still in use. Based on Google Earth data, many structures continue to be built and expanded there. In the early mornings, keen observers can still spot strange lights appearing and disappearing in the sky around Area 51. And so, information and images of Area 51 are still occasionally released, fueling public suspicion. Private pilot Gabe Zeifman, who often takes aerial photographs of Area 51, the famous secret flight test center of the U.S. Air Force, has shared the latest series of images of the base. Zeifman's images are very similar to previous ones, but offer an exceptionally good view of a long, hangar-like structure known as a shelter-in-place, within which there appears to be a strangely shaped object. The hangar in question is 36 meters wide and 97 meters long, situated along a taxiway connecting the base's main ramp area with the long disused runways. This taxiway extends to the new active runway to the east, built around 2005. To the north and south, this taxiway has been expanded to triple its length, covering the hangar. Subsequently, wall-like structures were added to both sides of the expanded facility. These wall structures would block views into the hangar not only from the main runways, but also from the curious eyes of onlookers on Tikaboo Peak, dozens of miles away. By 2007, an expanded turntable was added to the south end of the hangar, allowing an aircraft to enter the shelter, then taxi out, turn around, and return to the taxiway. This structure isn't really just a traditional hangar. It functions as a discrete testing area. The object inside looks like a very low-lying, dagger-shaped object, with a raised section towards the rear resembling an aircraft cockpit. Therefore, this object could be a high-speed or stealth experimental aircraft positioned very close to the ground. Based on this speculation, it's possible this object is a damaged aircraft due to malfunction and loss of landing gear, which could be why it's kept in the shelter until it can be safely moved elsewhere, disposed of, or returned for further testing. However, this is just a hypothesis, and it could very well be something entirely different, such as part of a radar dish. The images do not have high enough resolution to make a definitive conclusion. Based on the very limited photographic evidence provided, the aircraft shape most similar to the object seen is the Martin Marietta X-24B. The development of this aircraft was part of a major effort by the U.S. Air Force and NASA to explore the concept of a hypersonic lifting body. The X-24B began flying in the mid-1970s. Subsequently, a new initiative to build a hypersonic test aircraft based on lessons learned from the program emerged. Lockheed's Skunk Works division planned to achieve this through the X-24C, a more powerful version of the X-24B. The X-24C would have been significantly larger than its predecessor and designed to achieve hypersonic speeds at high altitudes using jet engines. There are unsubstantiated claims that this program evolved into a top-secret program codenamed Aurora, which allegedly flew secretly out of Area 51 in the 1980s. It can be safely assumed that advanced hypersonic flight research never fully ceased, and many high-speed test flight programs using unusual experimental vehicles likely occurred at this base for decades. Speaking of high-speed test aircraft that may exist today, Skunk Works is seeking to test a hypersonic aircraft using mixed-cycle engine technology. This aircraft also has a slender, dagger-like shape, similar to the object mentioned above. It's no surprise that aircraft exist inside most of Area 51's covered hangars. This indicates a lack of space for both ongoing and completed projects. Typically, experimental aircraft are only built to fly for a very limited time, and burying old projects underground around Area 51 is believed to be a safe way to create more space for a high-demand flight facility. A confusing part of this story is the open and closed shelter, which operates via overhead doors at each end, not rotating outward as some have mistaken for wall-like screens on the sides of the facility. It's difficult to explain why it remains open, although it could simply indicate that it was in use when the photo was taken. Nevertheless, it's highly plausible this facility was used for test flights right before Christmas, as base operations often conclude before major holidays. Like so many other things related to Area 51, this object remains a mystery, and we may never find an aircraft that perfectly matches the strange description of what's seen in the photos above, or if such an aircraft ever truly existed. That's one of the defining characteristics of Area 51 and the carefully guarded veil of secrecy around this base for 6 decades. Area 51 today is no longer impenetrable. We've been able to witness more clear and authentic images of it. The story of Area 51 teaches us something crucial. Truth is often more complex than we imagine. Sometimes, the biggest mysteries aren't about aliens, but about advanced technological projects, national security endeavors, and even their unforeseen consequences. It reminds us of the importance of seeking information, asking questions, and continuously exploring, but also of maintaining an objective and scientific perspective amidst rumors. The world is full of unknowns, and the journey to uncover the truth is an unending adventure. One day, when new information becomes available, we will once again explore it. Thank you and see you in the next video.